everybody, how's it going today? So I want to talk about the Roland SPD SX PRO a little bit and just kind of explain the reason why I think it's definitely the best thing that you can purchase. I've owned 6 of these modules, 6 of these multi-pads now over the course of 1 or 2 years. Hasn't been that long, but I've spent enough time playing all of them to kind of find what works for me. And so if it works for me, maybe it'll work for some of you, and even though I've, over the course, I've recommended a few of them over time, I still was going through my process of figuring out what actually worked for me. So the point of the story, I think, actually is you need to kind of go through and figure out what will work for you. And you may not know until you play it, until you play the right, multi-pad for you, or the right drum set, or whatever it might be. Take your time and figure out what works. So for me, the best thing about this is the fact that you can create a fully standing electronic drum set just from the external input triggers. So as I'll show you and I'll model in a second, I'm actually going to bring the camera and going to give you a little tour, but I'm going to be posting pictures as well and give you a sound clip. This is really, really cool because you could just have your pads out and not even use the multi-pad except for just as a module. This is why I think it's, in my opinion, this is why, in terms of all the other features that it has, this is one of the bigger reasons I think why it costs so much. And it's going to cost just as much as a regular drum module because you can have the same, the same kind of idea. If you have pads just laying around and you've been playing around with multi-pads, you can connect these pads or buy them cheaply, on Reverb or eBay, wherever, and set up a mini drum set with it. So anyway, I hope the video was helpful. I hope you enjoy my setup, and here we go. All right, here's the kit in all of its glory. So I'll explain exactly what I've done, exactly the specifications, and for people who have done lots of research, you probably know some of this already just by looking at it. So I have my SPD SX PRO kind of there in the corner, and it's connected with all of the outputs in the back. You can kind of see, and I'll explain what I've done. I have two of the connectors are split, and I have 2 that are actually using the head and the rim function. So that way I can expand it, but I'll explain exactly what I've done. So I have my VH10. We'll start with the VH10 hi-hat. Okay, so that's going to be dual trigger. So you have the edge and the rim. I like to play the hi-hat and have both. You might not, care too much about that, but that kind of bothers me. So I have that as my connector for my dual trigger, is one cable. And then I have the hi-hat controller, which has its own, as you know, and if you don't know already, the hi-hat controller function, the SPD SX has hi-hat control function, which is really cool. Okay, then moving on to the toms, I have an PDX8 for my high tom, and then I have a PDX100 for my second tom. Both are split, so I have them each as a single trigger. Okay, I have the Avatar cymbal here. There's going to be another clip of this as well, which I have as a dual trigger, and the reason why is that you can actually get 3 sounds from the cymbal, which I believe is just as good as having a triple ride, 3-zone ride cymbal. For me, it acts as the same thing, so it works well. And I have my Lemon snare drum, which I'm using single zone, which works great. Even if you hit the rim of it, you get it still feels like you're playing the rim, which I find very, very cool with, the way some of the Roland pads have gone. When you hook these up to the pads, even though you're hitting the rim, it still feels like you're getting a sound out of it, which is, I think, awesome. It's not like you just hit it and there's nothing. It feels like it kind of communicates with the head, which is really cool. It's a single zone. Okay, and then the bottom, I have something interesting. I have my KT-10, and if you know anything about the KT-10, it has an extra output, so you connect to another pedal. So I actually have a double pedal set up. And I'm not much of a double pedal player, to be honest with you, but I do like, playing it. I do have fun, adding it in sometimes. And if I ever did want to play double pedal, I feel really comfortable playing this. Both the pads both the pedals feel really, really good. It's probably the best double pedal setup I've ever had in terms of really being able to get, you know, articulation and stuff like that. I had this, you know, Yamaha KP65, you know, kick tower for a long time using this. I'm going to use the KT-10 now, I think. It just feels really good. I like it, and I can move it around. It's much more portable, and it's an excellent buy. And actually was able to get it like about $100 and maybe $120 off used. And, you know, it's just such an amazing product that it's built so well that even if you buy it used, it's going to work great for you. So I really highly recommend it. And this the Yamaha KU100, as I've talked about before, is insanely good and insanely cheap. So, you know, for another bass pedal, it works really well. I recommend this Mapex hi-hat stand too, by the way. When you tighten the center console, the center knob, or rod I should say, excuse me, you'll get very minimal spinning. I've had lots of problems with hi-hat spinning. The way the Roland hi-hats work too, they kind of, the way how they're double connected, it's a little bit easier, you know, not to have it spin, but I've not had good luck with any other hi-hat stand other than this one. So I really recommend this. It's like it's from like a Mapex, one of the cheaper Mapex kits, and I held on to it. The hardware so basically I have everything. My two toms are hooked up to a heavy duty Sound Percussion Lab cymbal stand, sorry. And you're gonna need something heavy duty because if you have two bigger toms, these are two 10-inch toms, you know, it's gonna be a lot of weight plus the cymbal on it. You know, it's almost at the point where it's starting to lean a little bit. Like I'm not sure if there's a whole lot of weight on the back leg. You know, I may have to do some adjusting to balance it out a little bit. But if you're gonna do a small pad setup like that, where you have like only just two pads, and you don't want a rack, you're gonna need a heavy duty cymbal. So I really recommend the Sound Percussion Lab cymbal stand. That's pretty much it. You know, the module controls everything. Like I said, from the back, I have two connectors. You know, there's eight full triggers you can have, single triggers. So I've elected to have 4 single triggers and 2 stereo triggers. So two triggers that have head and rim. So my head and rim is going to be the hi-hat, and the other head and rim is going to be the cymbal. So I can have duals. I can have kind of like a 3-zone cymbal. I didn't probably explain it very well, but with the 3-zone cymbal, it's basically the feature where you use the switch on the Roland SPD SX PRO. So if you use the switch sound, when you hit it hard enough, you'll get a bell sound, which is kind of similar to how lower end Roland model kits are, or lower end, you know, drum sets are, where you hit it hard enough, the accent, you'll get a bell sound. This is pretty much the same method. And yeah, there's my kit. So there'll be a playing example, and enjoy.